All right, now let's get into an issue we've covered for countless hours on this show, the battle over Indian Point. I think arguably it's the most hotly debated nuclear power plant in the country. It's located in New York's Westchester County, about 30 or so miles from Manhattan. 20 million people potentially at risk in the 50-mile radius. And God forbid a Fukushima disaster occurs, trust me when I tell you, there's no practical evacuation plan that could get people out. But in the coming weeks, the regulators regarding Indian Point, the NRC, Nuclear Regulatory Agency, they're going to decide whether IP ought to be relicensed and allowed to operate for decades to come. Today, so the plant's most vocal critics had their say in court, and our own Kim Lengel was there.
5 years ago, Entergy, the owner and operator of the Indian Point nuclear power plant, applied for licenses that would keep it running for the next 20 years. A federal hearing on that application began Monday. The hearing is a bona fide legal proceeding before 3 judges known as the Atomic Safety and Licensing Board. But in this courtroom, no ruling or sentence is given, just recommendations that the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, or NRC, may or may not consider when it comes down to relicensing Indian Point. Senior attorney Philip Musikis for the environmental group Riverkeeper, which is one of the 3 parties contesting the relicensing, says the process will be long.
I think we have very strong safety contentions, and you know, the judges that are here hearing the case are supposed to be independent judges, and we will take them at their word and see how this process goes. You know, but the NRC, let's face it, the staff and the NRC Commission, their job is to keep these nuclear plants running, and so we have a high burden to meet to overcome that.
Jim Steitz, spokesman for Entergy, says the company welcomes the scrutiny and believes the outcome of the hearing will result in a license renewal.
The NRC is a regulator. You know, they have one mission, one charge, and that is to help ensure the safety of nuclear plants across the country. You know, it would be an absolute betrayal of the public trust, you know, for them to simply provide, you know, these license renewals, you know, without very intently examining the issues surrounding them.
Protesters on both sides of the issue voiced their concerns also.
First time I worked at Indian Point was 1989. I worked there back then, and I believe it was safe and secure back then, and I still do believe that.
The people that work at Indian Point cannot hold 21 million people hostage.
Reporting from Regional News Network from Terrytown, I'm Kim Lengel.
Now, supporters of the plan said that 3,300 jobs would be lost to the plant, and that 20,000 jobs statewide would be indirectly affected if the plant is in fact shut down. And as people know, this is not just residents of Westchester who agree on this. This issue even comes up in your district too. What to do about the plant? There's pros and cons. People all want clean energy, but at what potential risk? How do you feel about the plant?
Well, I think first of all, my disclaimer is I was on a nuclear submarine for 5 years, and I'm a nuclear engineer by the Department of Energy.
And you only have one head and 2 eyes.
Yeah. So I think part of the debate, you know, we can talk about security and safety, which is the key one. But the Chinese are leapfrogging us in nuclear technology. There are technologies out there like thorium-based reactors, which are fail positive. The problem we're talking about in Japan and here, these are fail, you know, negative in terms of they cause big problems. So I think the biggest risk is closeness to New York or Connecticut.
Yeah. It's the proximity and the population density.
And then how do we work on nuclear technology which is fail-safe, not fail-negative?
But do we want the Chinese approach to nuclear technology? First of all, there's no regulation in China, not nearly the same steps. There's not nearly the same focus on safety and safety concerns. And if there was a nuclear accident in China, A, do you really think they'd be as protective of their citizenry? And B, do you think we'd know about it?
No, the accident was in Japan. I was talking in China, which is leapfrogging us with thorium-based reactors. Right. Which I think we're not being as innovative on that front. But that's an important part of the mix long-term to nuclear power in this country.
You know, when you worked for the senator, this issue came up. The governor is opposed to the plant, but there are people who are conflicted. I always see polls, even in the area, where it's a 50-50 split, roughly. Can you have it all? Can you have cheap energy, but at the same time have it safe? And which is the fall that people default on? It's complicated.
No, you can't have it all. You can't have it all without a serious investment. I've worked with some people in the sort of social venture and think tank area that believe we need to have a new Apollo project with a government investment of hundreds of billions of dollars in research and in energy. Well, there's no money for it, but there's also no money to be held hostage by foreign oil. And while we're also debating whether or not to do fracking in the southern tier and what to do with the Keystone Pipeline. We can't say no to everything all the time, which is why I suspect a lot of people are conflicted. We need to make a serious investment. We can't just have a no.
I'm up against the break, but we both know how things work. The NRC, for as much as they want to hear people bitch and moan at these town halls, they are not going to probably at all like turn out the lights on this place, because that's going to set a precedent for every nuclear power plant where people will cry NIMBY, not in my backyard, around the country, right?
I agree with you 1,000%, but you know, I live not too far. Brilliant, brilliant. Yes, I live not too far, and I don't even know the emergency plans, you know, but we do want it all, and you're right, we can't say no to everything.
And just keep in mind, very low threshold for relicensing for these plants.
Absolutely. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we remember a political giant, Pennsylvania Senator Arlen Specter. He changed parties and also never afraid to speak his mind. We'll remember him after this.